Welcome to the Soft Life with Saddie Baddies. Saddie Baddies is the antidote to mental health stigma, and this podcast is hosted by yours truly, Priscilla O. Adjman. We are a virtual sanctuary centering Black and multiracial people, and we prioritize the mental and emotional nourishment that is the foundation of collective healing in our communities. Thank you for being here. Welcome back to the Soft Life Baddies. I am back with a brand new episode. And as you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, we are back with video episodes. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are so close to our goal of nearly 500 subscribers on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe. Also, if you are on our Substack and you follow us on Substack, be sure to follow us there. It is one of our favorite platforms to share all of our content related to the podcast and also just other mental health and wellness related content. So be sure to follow us on Substack, YouTube, and of course, give us a rating on our podcast here. But I am back with a brand new episode. The last episode we shared was all about documenting the moments that you feel most like yourself and referring to those moments often. And we did a deep dive into junk journaling, what that is, how it's helping me unlock a new level of creativity and creative expression, and also how it's reshaping our collective nostalgia. So that piece seemed to really, really resonate with so many of you, and a lot of you are going to try junk journaling after reading that. So I'm so excited to hear that it's inspiring and connecting the baddies all over the world. So definitely be sure to check that out. And I am really excited to get into this week's episode. One thing I'm noticing with sharing these episodes is that it takes a lot of reflection for me to come up with thoughtful topics and conversations. And I think that's what makes the Soft Life so special, is that these conversations and the topics that we share are often very simple, but sometimes they're the overlooked parts of our healing journey, of our glow up journey. And this is all about creating a soft space for us to unpack and share some of our lessons learned and some of the things that we are gathering and picking up along our individual journeys. So let's get into this week's episode. We are going to talk about devotion and how devotion differs from discipline and when to use both devotion and discipline, or one or the other, depending on what your desired outcome and goal is. And I'm also going to talk about how devotion as a practice has helped me get out of a 2-year-long functional freeze. So you might have heard some of these buzzwords such as winter arc, 75 soft, 75 hard, locking in, leveling up, glowing up, rebranding your life, or having a that girl routine. But what are all of these phrases and buzzwords have in common? They all share a common thread for a desire or sometimes an internal pressure to practice dedication, focus, and discipline in order to achieve a desired outcome or goal. We can hear these words thrown around a lot, especially throughout a seasonal period of our life, such as winter that we're in right now, and sometimes in preparation for a milestone or a big event like our birthday, a wedding, or on the heels of a major life shift. Maybe you've also heard the saying that discipline is the highest form of self-love. And I agree, but I would take it a step further and say that devotion is the highest form of self-reverence. And devotion is what transforms discipline from a very rigid obligation into a deeply personal commitment, one that is rooted in care, intention, and a true attentive understanding of your own needs. When self-love is the foundation, self-reverence is the elevation, and the act of honoring yourself so fully that your choices become a reflection of your highest self. I personally have spent the last 2 years in functional freeze, and I'm the type of person that's very good at hiding when I'm struggling. I honestly don't always share when I'm going through a tough time, but for the last 2 years, I have really been in a functional freeze. And if you're not familiar with what a functional freeze is, it's essentially when you are stuck in this autopilot and your nervous system is not responding to things in the way that they usually are. And that could be due to burnout, that could be due to other reasons. But a lot of times the response is very feelings of numbness and just kind of feeling like you're in this constant just autopilot stage. You're not really feeling your feelings. You might not also feel present. You might be dissociating a lot. And I had felt like that for 2 years in a row. Um, I doubt that anyone beyond my inner circle even noticed that I was going through functional freeze. And it did take me a while to recognize that I was. But I had all the signs and feelings of someone who was stuck in autopilot. I was just doing enough every single day to get by and to check off a box from a never ending to do list. But deep down, I was feeling like I was sabotaging my own success by doing the bare minimum. Making plans with friends took an enormous effort, even though I wanted to see them. And I wasn't indulging in any of my hobbies consistently, which usually brings me joy. My sleep schedule was irregular, super thrown off, and I constantly felt both over and underwhelmed by everything and everyone. My diet also consisted of lots of Uber Eats orders throughout the week, and combined with a remote sedentary job, it is a recipe for losing my spark and also mourning the version of myself who just couldn't seem to get her shit together, no matter how many times I tried to reset these bad habits. So, last year around June, my fiance and I actually signed up for a new gym membership. And it was my first time joining a gym since COVID. And I finally realized that my at-home workouts, they were just not cutting it anymore. So as I continued showing up regularly over time, I noticed just how much making movement and challenging myself physically as part of my daily routine has positively impacted my mental health in the last few months. And the impact that physical movement and exercise has on my mental health, I would say, is the equivalent of over 5 years of going to therapy. So, just to show you how much being active and having a physical routine has helped me in my mental health, it cannot be understated. It is the part of the day that I look forward to the most, and it's allowed me to hold myself accountable while making progress on my goal to be more active at the same time. So, this new routine of being active and being a gym girly, it started off very slowly. I was just kind of using the treadmill or the Stairmaster sometimes and just walking for like half an hour. And then slowly I built up the courage to begin going to group fitness classes and strength training. So that's where I found my sweet spot. That mix of hot yoga, that's intense classes, like a vinyasa hot yoga class, or Pilates and bar sessions, combined with some weight training several times a week. That's my sweet spot. That's what I love to do to move my body. It finally clicked for me that balance is not about choosing one over the other. It's about allowing both things to coexist. So, in the practice of physical movement and being consistent with being active, I learned softness and strength, discipline and grace, and effort and flow. Practicing daily movement, especially yoga, allowed me the opportunity to unite my mind, body, and spirit and reconnect with my vessel. At the end of the year, my gym sent out their version of the Spotify Wrapped. And it was basically a rundown of how many classes and hours that their members have spent dedicated to fitness, wellness, and movement. And I had learned that I had taken over 100 workout classes in less than 6 months. I slowly started dropping the excess pounds that I had gained during quarantine and my functional freeze. And I finally started to feel that spark that I had sworn I had lost for the past 2 years. And it wasn't because I signed up for a crazy strict program or had to restrict my favorite foods or became obsessive about having a certain number on the scale. It truly, that change and that difference that I was seeking, it came because I became devoted to honoring the promises that I made to myself. And I prioritized feeling good from the inside out. Because at the end of the day, you cannot hate yourself into a version of you that you love. And through embracing devotion for that version of myself who just so desperately wanted to feel like me again, I was finally able to recognize that I was in a functional freeze. And I slowly but surely began to give myself what I needed. I stopped chasing the aesthetic of being a healthy girl or a wellness girl. And I started cultivating a lifestyle and making actual life and changes in my systems that were rooted in self acceptance, adaptability, and sustainability. So I didn't pick programs that were going to be so hard and challenging, or a diet that was going to be so hard and challenging that I wouldn't be able to keep up with it. I really wanted to offer something that I could do every single day or multiple times a week and really enjoy it. And I found that through movement and being devoted to showing up for myself and being healthy. And I would not be able to continue doing the work that I do as a wellness founder if I was not pouring into myself first. So, what does it mean to have self-reverence? So, self-reverence, it's the deep, unwavering respect that you hold for yourself, not just in moments of success, but in the quiet, unglamorous choices that you make every single day. It's a step beyond self love because it's not just about self care, it's about honoring yourself at the highest level. It means setting boundaries and keeping them because you know that you deserve to keep those promises that you made to yourself. It's choosing rest without guilt, nourishment without punishment, and growth without self criticism. To me, devotion and why I love using devotion as a practice sometimes rather than discipline is because devotion feels like the divine feminine to me. It to me feels like it embodies flow, intuition, surrender, and a deep trust in the process, whereas discipline is more characteristic to me of the divine masculine, which is rooted in structure, consistency, perseverance, and having intentional action. But both are needed at different times depending on what your desired outcome is. So, here are a few scenarios where you might need to practice devotion over discipline, discipline over devotion, or both. So, first scenario, if you are trying to heal from burnout, you might want to practice devotion over discipline because healing from burnout is literally takes years. Researchers have found that it takes an average of 3 years to heal from burnout. Instead of forcing yourself to push through the exhaustion, devotion will ask you to rest, to reprioritize, to nourish yourself, and to rebuild your energy and reconnect with source through tenderness and with care. Another scenario is, say that you are saving money for a big girl goal. You might want to exercise discipline over devotion. So you will not always feel inspired to budget or skip impulse purchases. Trust me, I know. And sometimes those sales come in at the wrong time when you're trying to save some coin, but discipline ensures you that you are going to be able to stick to your financial plan, make smart choices, and stay committed to your long-term goal. Next, we have the scenario of wanting to build a creative business. In this scenario, you're going to want to use both devotion and discipline. So, in this scenario, devotion will fuel your passion and your purpose, while discipline will help you to stay consistent, structured, and moving forward, even on days when you don't feel like it. Together, both of these practices and elements of devotion and discipline will help you to navigate the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, and it will also allow you to have the space to turn your creative ideas into tangible outcomes. Next, we have the scenario of overcoming negative self talk. And in this scenario, you want to use devotion over discipline. Again, you cannot force yourself into self love through rigid routines or strict programs. Instead, devotion asks you to choose self compassion and a very gentle rewiring of your inner dialogue through practices such as journaling, maybe talking to a therapist, creative expression, and being in community with people who can witness and help validate sometimes exactly who you are. And lastly, we have the scenario of trying to master a new skill. Here, you're going to want to use discipline again over devotion. Reason being is whether it's a language or going back to school or picking up a new hobby, discipline requires repetition and consistency, even when the results feel slow and unremarkable. But that's where the actual growth happens. It's often in the moments where you least expect it and building momentum until it becomes second nature. So, this episode and this topic is a loving reminder that devotion and discipline are never static. They are both dynamic and evolving with your needs, your goals, and your personal growth. Devotion is the understanding that you are worthy of care and attention, not just when you are achieving something, but also when you are resting, when you're recalibrating, or when you're just simply existing. So, whether you're stepping into a new chapter in your life or you're revisiting and trying to come back to an old version of yourself, know that you have everything you need within you to create that change that you desire and that you deserve. So, if you are listening on YouTube or Spotify, or if you are reading this on Substack, be sure to stay connected with us on all of our platforms. And we have so many things in store for you this year. So, we definitely want you to be the first to know. And the easiest way to be in the know and not have FOMO is to subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on YouTube, give us a rating on Spotify and Apple, and to follow us on our socials. And I'm so happy to be back with video episodes with you every week. And remember to stay soft.